So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I still get a few blank faces when I give my presentations about servitization. My opening question to everybody is, who's heard of servitization? Hands up, please. Okay. Who is confident they can spell servitization? The answer is simple. You just go and buy this book, written by a very famous professor in this subject. My work for some time now has been about servitization, the servitization of manufacturing. And in simple terms, servitization is about manufacturing companies building their revenue streams through services. What is getting a lot of people excited is the particular situation when servitization is about the manufacturer moving to the delivery of advanced services. And those advanced services require the manufacturer to change their business model and transform their organization. My talk this morning will just really set out some of the basic concepts of servitization, but the transformation process itself is singularly the biggest challenge. What I'll do is I'll take you through a few slides which really talk about the work that we did when we created this piece of research. It's a piece of research which was based around a study of Caterpillar, Rolls-Royce, Xerox, MAN, and ASTON. And it was looking particularly at what they understood by the concept of advanced services and what it required for them as an organization to deliver these things. Just to give you a bit of context about myself, I'm from the ASTON Business School, which is in the centre of Birmingham in the UK, which is the centre of the UK's industrial region. I work within a team of about 20 researchers, and our area is very much about servitization and manufacturing, establishing the knowledge, the practices, the tools and techniques which allow companies to servitize. We're very much about community. We're very much about the idea of working at the interface between academia and industry, learning from each and helping to impact business. And ultimately, everything that I do goes through into my teaching, into the executive development that we actually do to transform manufacturing businesses. The work with Rolls-Royce and Caterpillar and such like started with a challenge. And the challenge was this: what is this thing, servitization, all about? And very quickly, people jump to a position where they say servitization is about looking at a product and thinking about the additional services we can tack onto a product to add more value through it. That's a good starting position, but quite quickly, you can move from that to a situation where you understand that servitization can be so much more. To help you with that understanding, you have to actually challenge some of your basic assumptions. We, as a community, have two assumptions that really restrict some of our thinking. We think the world consists of A, production-based manufacturing companies that make products, and service companies over here, such as consultancies and academia and such like, and that they're very, very different. And we define products as things that'll hurt our foot if we drop them, and we define services by saying they're not products. There's a body of knowledge out there that really says that thinking is artificial. It's a rationalization that we've used to help us think about the world around us. And actually, all the businesses are actually services businesses, but it's just the types of services that are being delivered which are actually different. My arrow on this slide is upside down, so forgive me, it should be shown the other way. Basically, if you think about a manufacturing company, they can engage with what we refer to as base services, which is the provision of product and spare parts. They can engage in intermediate services, which is the repair, the overhaul, the maintenance of those products and those spare parts of those products. Or they can engage in what's generally referred to now as advanced services. And lots of these examples exist. Sometimes they refer examples out there include Rolls-Royce with Power by the Hour and Total Care, Xerox with print management systems, ASTON generating power by, again, a Power by the Hour type model. These advanced services are where the manufacturing company moves from a position of focusing just on the delivery of the product to rather delivering the capability that the product enables. Quite often, we couple these advanced services with a number of features. And if we're not careful, we actually use the features to define the service. But let's be clear, it's the capability, delivering the capability, which is the service. The features are that we'll quite often deliver this capability over an extended contract, say 10 years. We'll have some form of risk management in this relationship. We heard it this morning, a situation where there's some type of profit and revenue sharing. We couple this service with the notion of a pay-per-use for the service, that we will pay as we consume the service. And more, we're seeing the feature of cost down in this. So a typical service for somebody like Xerox delivering print management might be a 10-year contract delivering print management within, say, a telecoms provider. They'll take care of ensuring that every printer, every photocopier in the building is operating, no matter who's the manufacturer. You'll pay for it by click. Every time you click, you'll pay for the piece of paper that's printed. And they'll tell you that over the duration of that service, they'll actually become cheaper to work with Xerox than when you actually take the service out. It's these advanced services which are so special and really exciting people. And servitization is the process where a manufacturer moves from focusing just on base, which is product and spare parts, to the delivery of these advanced services. Not necessarily entirely, but certainly to a large extent. Now, what happens is when you start to get to a situation where you are delivering these advanced services and it becomes a large part of the organization, there becomes a tipping point. And the organization starts to look very different to the organization that's associated with the delivery of products. I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. Before I do, though, let me just go back to these advanced services and say there is two very distinct mindsets out here, around advanced services. The predominant mindset says that advanced services are all about the total cost of ownership for the asset by the customer. And that's a great starting position. But there's a second position that says these advanced services are all about our customers becoming more competitive in their marketplace. And those companies that go out to help their customers, not just to reduce their cost, but actually to become more competitive as an organization, are the ones which really grasp the concept of advanced services. But they are very, very rare. But as time goes by, we will see more of these companies coming along. 18 months ago, I did quite a large study, sponsored by Xerox. This is the type of work that we will do inside the centre, an industrial kind of benchmarking study, where we spoke using a technique called a Delphi technique to 33 senior managers inside the UK. These were all companies which were the senior managers were from companies which we selected because they were competing through advanced services. And we were asking them about the benefits they were getting through the adoption of these advanced services. Now, there are many caveats when you start to look at the statistics. I know a lot of people are interested in the amount of revenue you get from product compared to the revenue you get from services. And we have to generalize because the situation that companies are in is different, and that situation affects the revenue they get from profits and the revenue they get from services. But as a generalization, under the current climate, we are seeing that manufacturing companies are striving to first of all, defend their position through the adoption of advanced services. And you'll see this in the language that you're using. You will talk to me about sustainability. You will say, we want to have a split between products and services of about a 50-50%, because if we have that, if we hit a recession, we can defend our profit, our cash flow, because we've got services, and if we go in a period of growth, we can sell lots of products. Sustainability is important, but also locking out competitors as part of that. But as manufacturers move to help their customers to reduce costs and themselves become more competitive, the manufacturer grows. There's a level of customer intimacy that's going on here, which basically means that because you're getting so much closer to your to your customer, you're seeing the opportunity to bundle together lots of other services to sell lots of things on to your customer. From a customer's perspective, advanced services very much help them to reduce cost. This is a defensive position. And if you think about it, it's about outsourcing for the customer. But you're outsourcing not to a technology integrator, but rather to a technology innovator. That's what manufacturing companies are. They're technology innovators. What's special about servitization? It's technology innovators building their revenue streams, not just through selling product, but also through delivering services. That's what it's all about. From the customer's perspective, they are outsourcing a portion of their activities to a technology innovator. And because it's a technology innovator, the technology innovator can find ways, more ways, to reduce and improve the customer's operations. As a consequence of that, what you find is the customer's competitiveness grows, and the customer not only reduces their costs, but also becomes more competitive in the marketplace. The report, which is about this, is actually from our website, and is on our website. I'll give you the address later, you can download it. But one of the best examples I've seen in this space in the UK is ASTON with their train life maintenance systems, the train life maintenance systems. 10, 15 years ago, the UK outsourced what was a publicly owned train system to a third-party provider, to Virgin, Alstom, and Angel Trains as a partnership. At that point in time, on one of the principal train routes in the UK, the footfall of passengers was about 30 million passengers per year. That particular system now is moving something like 35 million passengers per year. And most of that is because the quality of the service that the customer is getting massively exceeds that service that the customer used to get under public ownership. So these advanced services are very important. Let's just go back a little bit, though, and think about it from what it means to you as an organization. This chart here just really shows how, from a manufacturer's perspective, as they deliver more and more services to their customers, as they move through base, intermediate to advanced services with their customers, manufacturers can expect the amount of money they earn from that customer to increase. It's quite simple. You're doing more and more for your customer, so you can expect to gain more and more money back, assuming that you sell your services in a sensible way. Everybody gets very excited, though, when we start to talk about profit. And as I say, there's lots of caveats about profit. But what I've tended to see through the companies we've studied is that profit does follow the revenue. But it does fall away a little bit. It falls away because services, particularly advanced services, move us away from the economies of scale that you see if you take a production-based facility. So if you want to produce a product extremely cheaply, you stick the factory in China and you focus just on the production of one product. If you want to deliver, by contrast, an advanced service contract in the UK, where you've got lots of penalties associated with the delivery of that contract, you have to have a workforce in the UK, you have to have a footprint in the UK, etc. That move away from the economies of scale means that the profit dives down a little bit. It's not a great problem. because the total profit is going up. It's just that the profit margin starts to fall away. You're getting a slightly more smaller slice of a much bigger cake. Where the real problems start to occur is if you try and to deliver as a manufacturing company these advanced services using the technologies, the people and the processes that you would use just for production. And because of the penalty and risk regime that's quite often associated with these advanced services, if you get it wrong, the consequences can be disastrous. They can cause the company to fail catastrophically. For example, if you look at a Virgin train running on the West Coast Main Line in the UK, the ASTON train, if that train is late coming into a station, the penalties can be up to £600 per minute. That's a huge penalty regime. You can't afford to do that. You can't afford to fail frequently. So the question then is, well, what do organizations look like that deliver these advanced services? Information and communication technology is, of course, key. We're seeing more and more at events like this, people coming along talking about the Internet of Things, customer to customer, the Internet of Customers, etc. The technology's been around for some time. This illustration here came through the work that I did with Rolls-Royce, and it's an illustration which shows how many products out in the field will have sensors on those products which will tell the home station where the product is, its condition, and how it's been used. So a Rolls-Royce gas turbine flying on an aeroplane, typically 6 times during the flight, will send back information either to Derby in the UK or Houston in Texas or wherever, which will say how 16 parameters on that gas turbine are varying. Caterpillar truck in a quarry, there might be 200 sensors. A train system, many more. If you look at an MAN truck in the UK running up and down the road systems, every 2 minutes, MAN are receiving information about where the truck is, how it's been driven, etc. So these systems are key. So too are the people we heard again in the presentation this morning. And we recognize that the skill sets that people have in the delivery of advanced services are different to the skill sets that people have typically in a production environment. There's this term, humanistic. People that deliver services have to have these humanistic skills and qualities. And there's many attributes which define what is humanistic. These are some of them. The notion that the person is an advocate for the customer within their own organization. The notion that they feel the pain when the customer feels the pain. They understand the technicalities of the product, but they're much more about building relationships. But the ICT and the people are only part of the equation. And I know people are incredibly important. But what we're actually seeing here, when companies really tip and start to deliver these advanced services, is a complete organizational transformation. The organization is a system, and it's a system of the people, the technologies, but also the location, the vertical integration, the performance measures, and the processes, which come together as a complete system. And that system looks very different to a production-based system. It is not about abandoning manufacture, let's be clear. It's about finding different ways to use that IP, that manufacturing capability, to deliver a capability in the customer's own processes. So I am not talking about manufacturing companies abandoning production and now moving into a world where they're consultants. I'm talking about a very special mix. And this mix is so special that, to my mind, this represents the fourth paradigm in our views about the structure of manufacturing industry. We go out into the world today, we can still find companies which are based around the notion of craft production, artisans. We can still find factories which don't look that dissimilar to Henry Ford's factory when he produced the Model T. And it's a mass production system. And we can go out there and we all celebrate what's happened with Lean and Toyota and the Toyota production system. It's a fantastic achievement. But this is the fourth paradigm in our ideas about what manufacturing industry looks like. And it's entirely appropriate in a developed economy, in the developed economies of the Western world. I'm coming towards the end of my presentation. What I've tried to do is to explain this notion of servitization, explain what these base, intermediate, advanced services are, and to also give you an idea about what the organization starts to look like as it actually delivers these things. The big challenge that we all face is transformation. How to transform the organization. How do you get leadership inspired? How do you sort out the message inside the organization? How do you understand the alignment of value in the supply chain so you can establish customer demand, etc., etc., etc. What I'm now doing is working with a few very large blue chip organizations, trying to understand how to go about that transformation process efficiently and effectively. I'm looking for other companies to be involved with. I'd like to write another book like this. Sorry, Chris. I'd like to write another book like this. I'd be delighted if any of you are from organizations and you'd like to talk about servitization, either to catch me today and this evening, or drop me a note. You can contact me through this website and come to talk to me about it. The other things that we actually do is we work at this interface between academia and industry, and we carry out a number of student-type activities and executive development in this area. And sometimes I'm very keen to hear from people who would like to participate or be involved in those type of activities as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's me. I hope you now know what servitization is, and I hope you go out and buy the book. Thank you.